What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. Dan, how are we doing on this beautiful Tuesday morning?
I'll be honest with you, Pat. I was having a phenomenal day till you started to piss me off a little bit pre-recording. No, I'm just kidding. I'm doing good, man. How are you doing on this beautiful Tuesday morning? I love how you always put beautiful before the day. Like, it could be our last day on earth, and if we're doing a Yankees Av show, you'll say beautiful beforehand. I appreciate that.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, I'm doing great. Yankees baseball is almost back, right? The clock is probably at like
35 days, I'm pretty sure, till pitchers and catchers. And also, you know what that means? 35 days till Gary Sanchez reports as a New York Yankee. Topic number 2, everybody. We'll see you there.
We'll get into that. But Dan, to start things off today, let's talk about a little piece of information that came out on Monday. Tommy Kahnle recently came out and said he had higher offers from other teams, including the Boston Red Sox this past offseason. Well, this current offseason, but he wanted to be a New York Yankee, took less money to come to New York. I guess this kind of brings up the topic of conversation that I feel like me and you discuss pretty often. And that is whether or not being a Yankee and wearing the pinstripes has the same lore that it used to, in terms of, does being a Yankee carry the same weight as it used to?
All right. Yeah, I think this is one of our favorite conversations that me and you like to have, Pat. But first of all, let me say, remember that Andy Martino report that came out like a few months ago? That is such BS, because clearly being a Yankee is a good time. Tommy Kahnle wanted to come back. Anthony Rizzo wanted to come back. Aaron Judge wanted to come back. Players clearly like being here. So that report, throw it in the trash. But do I think the pinstripes still hold weight, Pat? Yes, I do. And there's a couple different reasons. First of all, and this is kind of summarizes all my points, but the pinstripes still are the pinstripes to me. I look at them and I still get chills. And I think a lot of players feel kind of that same way, at least if they grew up Yankee fans. 2, while to us they have been a failure, we haven't won a World Series. It's not like we've been a last place team. We haven't been bottom of the barrel in the American League. No, we're in the playoffs every single year. And I think that still kind of holds our value up there. And players look at that and they recognize that. And this is my main one. Majority of the players in the league today grew up when the Yankees were the shit. They grew up on the 90s dynasty. They saw 2009. So it's more so going to be like our kids who, if the Yankees don't win the World Series over the next, I don't know, however many years, we might shed some negative light and some pessimism, I guess, on the upcoming Yankee fans. But like the players that are in the league today, I still think being a Yankee means something. And I don't think the Yankees have been in a worse enough drought or a long enough drought to like tarnish their name really at all, in my opinion.
I mean, if the Yankees don't win in 2023, I mean, that's 14 years. That's a pretty long drought in terms of, especially if you look at their success before that. But to answer the question, does being a Yankee still mean as much as it used to? I'm going to say that it really depends on the player. I think as a whole, it's really tough to be like, yeah, every player wants to be a Yankee, just because every player has different circumstances, right? If a player grows up a Yankee fan, like Garrett Cole, obviously that's a case where being a Yankee would carry a lot more weight than, let's say, someone who grew up idolizing Ichiro Suzuki or Ken Griffey Jr. or Barry Bonds, right? And then because of that, they wanted to play for such team and kind of follow in their idol's footsteps. So I think that it really depends on the person. But I think if we're looking at the current state of Major League Baseball and the current state of the Yankees, I don't think that the Yankees organization has the same status as it used to, in terms of, like, you look back to the early 2000s when the Yankees were truly the shit. And whether you want to blame that on them or whether you want to blame it on like luxury tax, like whatever it is, the Yankees just aren't the same Yankees that they used to be, where they're kind of just like juggernauts and pouncing on every small market team in Major League Baseball. That's just not the case anymore. So whether you want to look at it from that perspective or the lore perspective, I think with the lore perspective, I do think that they can still carry that same weight, but it truly just depends on the player and kind of just their mindset.
I hear you. No, I definitely hear you. But the way I see it is this: like, if you were to take 2 players, right, and you wanted to pick the career that will hold more value long-term, Hall of Fame, more worthy, whatever, say identical stats, 3,000 hits. Well, let's just say take Derek Jeter's career. What is the example we always take? What is Jeter looked at icon-wise if he's a Yankee or a Cincinnati Red, right?
Sure.
And whatever that reason may be, it's something totally different. Aaron Judge, perfect example. He is somebody who is basically the poster child, whether right or wrong, of kind of like what the Yankees, I don't say their failures have been, but he's been around since this core hasn't been winning. And he's still the most popular player in baseball. He's only further enhanced by the Yankee brand, in my opinion. Aaron Judge, if you were in Oakland A, if he signed with them out of high school in 2009, his career, even if he were just as good, he would not be as popular of a player. He would not be like whether that's around the league or among the fans, So I still think it holds some weight, but the reason for that is mostly because I just don't think the drought has really been long enough. For us, it's painful for us. It almost had me 51-50 a couple of times, but it's the way other players look at it. Like in terms of, do I want to be with the Yankees? I don't think it's been long enough to think like, oh, that organization is just a mess now. No.
Sure, but I do think that it depends. Like, I think we're trending in the wrong direction because we're not too far removed from like the point of the Yankees 90s dynasty, because a lot of the guys in the league right now grew up with that 90s dynasty. But I think as time goes on, and if the Yankees don't kind of like come back to their old ways, I do think that by the time, let's say, we have kids or our kids have kids, there is a possible world where the Yankees are no longer like viewed as one of the most successful franchises in sports. I mean, if you want to look at like stats wise and be like, yeah, 27 World Series, sure. But I think just philosophical wise, I think that there's definitely a scenario where, especially if their drought continues, where the Yankees aren't looked at the same way.
But you also, I feel like, aren't realizing how quickly things can change. I mean, you look at the 90s dynasty, right? Before that, some pretty shit show years for the Yankees, whether it's the early 90s or, I mean, the 80s, they had good regular seasons, never won the World Series, though. And then all of a sudden, they won the World Series in 96 and, three-peat, all that. They quickly were once again back to being like the top kings of baseball, right? And while 27 may not mean all that much right now, if you're that player that does come to New York and perform big, perform in October, lead the Yankees to a World Series, I think that's part of what Aaron Judge knows. You win in New York, you're the shit. And doing that for the New York Yankees, the biggest brand in all of baseball, arguably all of sports, to give them their 28th World Series championship, like, I think all those reasons kind of encapsulate the one thing of like, it hasn't gone up, but it hasn't dropped. Like the Yankee brand still holds some weight. That's my opinion.
It can drop, especially if this continues. And I will say that doing that and winning a championship in New York definitely carries weight for somebody like me and you, right? Who grew up as diehard fans of the New York Yankees. However, maybe there's somebody who didn't grow up as a Yankee fan, and then them doing that for the St. Louis Cardinals carries just as much weight, maybe even more, if they grew up as a fan of the Cardinals. You know what I mean?
Totally, but I think that's
where the player-by-player cases kind of comes in.
I think that would have been the same case 20 years ago. I mean, we've talked about it with Aaron Judge, but, he grew up a Giants fan, was a big Barry Bonds guy, and he still saw the lore in New York or experienced the lore in New York and wanted to stay. I had one other point. What was it?
Well, I think that this kind of just goes back to the conversation that like we've had in the past in terms of like, you were on the boat where you think like everybody wants to be a New York Yankee. And I'm kind of just like, I just don't think that that's the case. I think that it's definitely just not the same as it used to be.
I don't think that everybody wants to be a Yankee, no, but I do believe that if you wanted to be a Yankee, if you were a kind of player that would want to be a Yankee 20 years ago, I don't think that you wouldn't want to be a Yankee now based on like,
no, you might want to be a Yankee even more so, because the kids that are playing, well, the guys that are playing now, they were kids when the Yankees were in that dynasty. So I would say that's why you have to give it a longer period of time to really see if anything comes to fruition.
Yeah. And last point, I think the Yankees, for their brand to really take a big hit, they would have to bottom out, man. Like, you would almost have to do what the Red Sox have done in between championships, like a fourth or a fifth, like over consecutive years, like fourth or fifth last place finishes. Like, that's where shit would really start to hit the fan. But making the playoffs every single year with the hopes of winning a World Series, which hopefully we'll freaking do in 2023. Like, I think we're chilling, Pat. We're chilling.
Moving on here, a guy that I guess you could say maybe wasn't cut for New York and is in Minnesota. Well, was in Minnesota. Gary Sanchez. He's currently on the free agent market. And you know what, Dan? You look at his 2022, and it was kind of weird. His defensive metrics improved. His offensive metrics regressed, which is the complete opposite of what we saw out of him as a Yankee. But I guess now this brings up a little bit of a discussion because Gary Sanchez is still available. The Yankees' catching depth isn't that deep, I guess. I mean, you have Trevino, you have Higgy, and then you have Rourke, if he even exists. I don't know. But would you be completely opposed to the Yankees taking a flyer on Gary Sanchez? A little bit of reunion action.
I wouldn't be opposed in the slightest, Pat. Absolutely not. Now, it's never going to happen. So I think we should all put those dreams to bed if you are one that has those dreams. I do wonder what it'll cost, though, because a minor league deal is definitely without, like, that's ruled out 100%.
Yeah.
1 year deal, though, I think we can both agree on. And I mean, he won't get more than 10 mil. I don't think he'll get more than 8. So, like, if you were to want Gary Sanchez, it'd probably be on like a 1 year, like, I don't know, $7 million
Six and a
deal,
half.
six and
Yeah.
a half, whatever. I do see a world where Gary Sanchez, I'll never give up on the renaissance of Gary Sanchez, Pat. I never will. And very happy for him. I didn't know that the defensive metrics improved the way they did. So props to you, Gary. Thing is, though, the offense also regressed, which is weird. I mean, I think he was like below a 90 WRC plus last year, which is pretty nuts for Gary. But, of course, the average exit velocity is still up as always. The peak exit velocity is still really good in terms of like how he hits the ball. So if he can just make contact, I'm sure he'll do pretty well. And unfortunately, I think that might be for the Boston Red Sox, as they are the favorite to sign him right now, which will just break my goddamn heart, Pat.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's really sad to see like the career downfall of Gary Sanchez, and I hope somebody makes like a really in-depth video on it one day, because I would love to examine just the highs and lows of Gary Sanchez's tenure, especially with the Yankees. I mean, because Minnesota doesn't really count as a team. Sorry, But it's like, this is one of those things where I wouldn't be mad if it happened, but at the same time, it's like I don't see it happening. Especially because my hot take is that the Yankees are going to go into spring training, and I don't think Higgy makes it out as the backup catcher. I think Rourke's gonna be the guy. The Yankees
I think Higgy's gonna get traded. I don't think like Higgy's gonna get like beat out. I think he won't be on the roster. So like being serious, because like Gary Sanchez is not gonna get signed by the Yankees. Like it'll be, I believe, Jose Trevino's your starting guy, obviously. And then I'm with you. I think Rourke's I would actually be pretty shocked if Higgy's on the opening day roster. And
I mean, the Yankees have been high on him, bro. And I think if he didn't get hurt last year, Rourke could have even made a shot to be the Yankees starting catcher.
Yeah. And even I think he got hurt twice too. Like if he just figured it out, like I think in May or June when he went back on the IL, he could have been up. But yeah, I mean, with Higgy, you could also probably get not obviously like a blue chip prospect for, but like he's not, you probably would get more than a bag of balls for him. I mean, he still is a good defensive catcher that has showed pop. So
let me ask you a question.
I think it'd be worth it. And he's also making a couple of mils. So the Yankees, I think, are still trying to stay under 273.
Let me ask you a question. You have to pick one quick. Who would you rather have as your backup catcher out of these two? Gary Sanchez, Kyle Higashioka.
Gary Sanchez, and the reason is because you have Jose Trevino. Like that's your rock, that's your defensive stud. You have him. But Gary Sanchez, with improved defensive metrics, I'm just saying any team who takes a flyer on him will have the benefit of a very high upside.
I agree.
The low is just very low. So I mean,
this kind of goes back to topic number one in terms of like a case by case basis in terms of like who you grow up watching and stuff like that. Like for us, like obviously Gary Sanchez played a pretty big role in like our teenage years, right? Like he was one of our first like Yankees we truly saw come up from the start. So he'll always have like a little spot in my heart. Meanwhile, like somebody watching this who might be in like their 50s or something might not care. You know what I mean? They
not
might
care. No, they care. They care on the other end.
Way.
They absolutely despise him. And I think let's be real here. The only way you could actually want Gary Sanchez back as a Yankee fan, if it's like a passion play, which I'll admit it's entirely for me. I love Gary Sanchez. Wished it worked out well in pinstripes. It did for some years, but in the end, not so much. And he'll be a Boston Red Sox, dude. It'll be sick. You think he'll wear 24 too? Like he'll be the new Manny, bro.
They don't have that retired.
Oh, they probably do. No, because Price wore. I'm pretty sure. I think Price wore. No.
Did he? He did wear 24 on the Red Sox.
Oh, he did. Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't retire Manny.
That is surprising, actually.
Yeah, but
I don't like how the Yankees didn't retire A-Rod's number, but it's neither here nor there.
Not yet, at least.
So, Dan, like I said, Gary Sanchez is currently on the free agent market. There's a bunch of veteran free agents still left on the market. I guess we kind of like take a look at the list, and I would say maybe pick one of the veterans that are still on the free agent market and give me one that you would like to see in pinstripes next year.
Okay, so some people might get mad at me. I hope you didn't just hear my soda pouring into my cup. Coke Zero, big fan. Andrew McCutchen, Pat. Am I crazy? Listen. Okay, so first of all, the big key word here, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Pat, is cheap. Like the way I see it, first of all, the situation would be Aaron Hicks right now is your backup outfielder, right? You trade him, save, let's say, $7 million on his contract, because you'll probably have to eat about 10 of the 30 he's owed. $7 million you save on Hicks, sign Andrew McCutchen for, I don't know, $4 or $5 million. He's not bad, man. He's really not. Like, he's, of course, not the player he was back in the day, but still walks, still has 20 homer pop. I think we could agree that he has pretty damn good clubhouse presence. It would only help, I feel like, the vibe in there. So you got that. And wouldn't be an everyday guy, no, but platoon with Oswaldo. The only reason I'm not honestly in love with the idea is because he doesn't bat left-handed. He is a righty bat. And, kind of missed Kutch a little bit. He had that 35 game stint for us in 18 was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I actually wanted him back after that year. I guess it's good
So
he didn't, because it wouldn't really have worked out. But yeah, I'm not set on it. I'm not in love with it. But like, out of the remaining veteran free agents available that would take like I don't want to say a prove it deal, but they're at the later end of their career. I wouldn't mind bringing in Kutch, because in the end you could put him as your backup fourth outfielder and save money still by trading Hicks.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had your same logic on this in terms of like getting a veteran outfielder, just improving the depth there. And my guy is one who I want on the Yankees for a very, very long time, and he's kind of in the twilight of his career too, I guess. Corey Dickerson, Dan. He's a left-handed hitter. I always thought that his swing would fit so well in Yankee Stadium. And I also feel like every time he came to Yankee Stadium, on whatever opposing team he's been on, which, bro, I don't know if you've looked at Corey Dickerson's past teams over the couple years. He's been on like 10 different teams. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Ever since Tampa Bay just randomly, remember they DFA'd him? It was like weird as hell.
Kind of like an Austin Meadows type deal there. Like similar players too. But yeah, no, I think that Corey Dickerson would be a pretty solid fit. Left-handed hitter. I think his swing would play in Yankee Stadium. And yeah, I mean, just add to the outfield depth. I don't think it would hurt. So yeah, I'd go with him.
I like it. I mean, I looked at his Fangraphs page in consideration. The only thing is, like, of course, you're hoping he'll turn into 2019, and really his whole career prior to that, he was a pretty damn good hitter. I like the left-handed bat, but don't call me. I'm doing the Yankees Avenue Show. That was Andrea. But the last 3 years, like, it's kind of been a long time since he was good. I mean, he hasn't been above average offensively according to WRC Plus since 2019, but he'd come really cheap, and we're talking 3-4 mil Kutch. Corey Dickerson's probably getting like, I don't want to say minor league deal, but like
close to it.
I would say, like, if not a minor league deal, 2 or 3 million with incentives. So wouldn't be against it, man. Not against it. Yeah. There's really also not much left too. So you really have some fine pickings to go with.
You know who is left?
Who?
Michael Pineda.
Michael Pineda. I was playing my MLB franchise, right? The one I play every single game in, not to brag. I'm in 2023, right? You know who's leading the Cy Young race for the AL right now?
Michael Pineda.
For the Detroit Tigers. Yep.
That's weird. Yo, wait, actually, like, since we're on this topic, can I tell you the one that I wanted to do if this was kind of like fantasy land and like a joke?
Yeah.
Robinson Cano.
That's so funny, dude, because I saw him. Were you reading the MLB trade rumors thing?
Yeah, I was.
I saw him on there, and like, I did stop for a millisecond. I was like, no.
That's one of those where I was like, you bring up MLB The Show franchise. If I was doing one and he was on the free agent market, I would sign him just for the hell of it and kind of like boost up his ratings a little bit.
Yeah,
so he
totally.
Have one more, like,
honestly, if it weren't for the PEDs the second time, or not the second time, but didn't he do it twice?
Yeah.
If it weren't for the PED, he did once with the Mariners, once with the Mets.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that embarrassment, then I would honestly say, fuck it, bring him on, minor league deal. But he's gone.
But yo, signing Robinson Cano would be quite a bold move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan, give me one bold prediction for the 2023 Yankees.
All right, I want to stay consistent with this, and you may have heard me say this before. It's not Luis Severino, which, let me mention that. I think he's going to have a great Cy Young caliber year along the lines of Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon. Not him, though. My bold prediction, and maybe this isn't all that bold, but I think it's bold enough in the category of realistic bold. Anthony Volpe will be the Yankees' leadoff hitter by October. Come playoffs, ALDS Game 1, you're looking at Anthony Volpe in front of Aaron Judge as number one guy. What do you think?
I wouldn't be mad about it. Because I mean, listen, if Anthony Volpe is the Yankees leadoff hitter going into October, that means something seriously went right. Right? Because they're not just throwing him there if he comes up and he's hitting like 220 in 50 games. So yeah, I mean, I'd be thrilled about it. I think it all depends on the health of DJ. I think that the health of DJ is really crucial here, just because, I mean, if DJ comes back and he's 2019, 2020 DJ, I can't see the Yankees moving him I think that he's going to go right back to the leadoff spot, and I think that he's going to be the guy up there. So
I think he really starts there, and I totally hear what you're saying, but I think we've kind of been tricked or fooled that DJ LeMahieu is a good leadoff hitter. I mean, he's fine, obviously, not talking about production, but like, we're used to, DJ leading off 2019, 2020 was amazing. And he, of course, as I've said so many times in the show, was a really good hitter for the Yankees through August. But at this point, what is he, 33, turning 34 years old? He's, yes, still a good hitter. He's not your prototypical leadoff guy, just mostly because he's not fast. While, yes, he gets on base, he's kind of a sluggish base runner. I think let's just say we get his production that he had the first 5 months of last season, that in, like, honestly, even the 5 spot, at least until we acquire a big bat at the deadline, I don't know. DJ in the 5 spot to me makes a lot more sense than a leadoff once Volpe does, like, if this all assuming Volpe's balling out. Like if he doesn't pan out, at least in this 2023 season, then of course, you're going to put DJ at leadoff. I just think if both are going right, I think DJ's better fitted in not necessarily the heart of the order, maybe 5th or 6th. I guess that is 5th is the heart of order, but yeah, I think it makes sense. We'll see. Hopefully it happens, man. I mean, like, cause that would mean that guarantees like Volpe word. He showed up, he balled out.
Yeah. My bold prediction for 2023 is that for the first time since 2019, Josh Donaldson will hit 30 plus home runs. You know what? I don't know why, but I mean, I think this was last episode when we discussed this. I think it was the topic where like Hicks, Donaldson, like who has a better chance of rebounding. Since I've kind of come to conclusion that Josh Donaldson is going to be on the 2023 Yankees, I'm kind of going like full steam ahead, rooting for him to have like an insane comeback year.
As you should.
Yeah, I mean, just because I mean, bro, if he's going to be on the team, like I want to give him like all my support. And I'm really going with the narrative that Josh Donaldson just has that badass mentality, and he wants to prove everybody wrong this year, bro. He doesn't want to make a fool out of himself again this year. And whether or not his body is going to give him the ability to do so, I think is going to be the biggest question. But I don't think that there's any doubt in my mind that in his mind, he really wants to do this.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I'm glad you said 30 homers too, because I feel like if you were to say 25 plus, I don't even think that would have been all that bold. Because I think he could run into 25 homers. 30 though, I like that. That's good. I think we did a good job with these, Pat, because they're both bold. Like, are they likely? Bold. No, but could they happen? I'm pretty surprised when they did, but I think so.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm with you on the Donaldson thing, by the way. Like, first of all Yankee fans should feel that way, and that goes for pretty much every player. Like, if they're on the team, if they're in pinstripes, obviously you don't have to root for the person themselves, but just. Not that that's the case with Donaldson, whatever, but he's a Yankee. Like, you root for him because if he does well, the Yankees do well. And we should all hope Donaldson has a good year.
Especially if he's going to be like their starting third baseman to start the year.
Which I don't think that's going to be the case, honestly. I think he'll be on the roster. I can't see how.
Yeah. If DJ's healthy, I can't see it happening.
Because then you have DJ at third, Glaber at second, and either IKF or Peraza at short. So, or Volpe on opening day. I still think Volpe will be end of the month. Or maybe
it'll be
which is fine. I wish that weren't the case. I even if so though, like that's getting Anthony Volpe starting by say May 1st is still gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, but moving on to topic number 5 here. This news kind of upset me a little bit. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but Cameron Maybin was given the boot from the guest booth. To be honest, I thought that he was really solid last year in his first year in the booth. I know he split a little bit of time with MLB Network, I believe, because bro, I turned on MLB Network tonight and he was on there, so I guess
he's still with them.
Yeah, I guess that Yes kind of like pitched this out as like them splitting ways with him. Meanwhile, I want to say it was probably pretty mutual.
No. Maybin wanted to come back. He even said in the article.
No. I saw that. But what I'm saying is I doubt Maybin was really like upset by it. I think that at the end of the day, it was probably mutual.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. Can't get inside his head, but I would figure he liked doing it. And, I enjoy Maybin, man. He was always kind of guy that didn't try to do too much and get it. No, you don't get it? That's what Maybin always says in the booth. You never remember that? Like,
no.
Yeah, he's just kind of guy, just doesn't try to do too much. All right, well, never mind. You don't get my joke. But no, I like Maybin. I thought, I think he definitely progressed and had a little more seasoning to do, but that's fine. It was his first year behind the booth, or in the booth rather. And what?
No, but my whole thing with Maybin is like I loved him in the booth because I truly feel like he provided something that was missing, and that's like young blood.
His energy, yes, but there is still
on the game.
There's still skill to come in the field, which will come.
Yeah, but bro, it was his first year doing it. And he wasn't even doing it every day. So it's like I look at him and I just think that he provided a different type of vibe to the booth that the Yankees broadcast has severely been missing. And don't get me wrong, I like Paul O'Neill, I like David Cone. But it's like to insert somebody who just recently retired from the game, right? A very current player. And then also it's just like, bro, I'm sorry, but at what point do like young people want to sit around and listen to like a bunch of old guys talking baseball? It's like when you insert like that young life into it, I think it adds a different perspective. And I
think that was the benefit of Maybin was definitely, like the young blood.
Yeah.
But well, I'll make one more point on Maybin. The young blood, though, could also come in. They're talking Derek Jeter is still a possibility. I don't see it happening.
That's the stupidest thing I saw that in the article as well. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
To be fair, this was mentioned, 3 months back about Jeter potentially being a candidate. It's January 9th. Still hasn't been shut down. So, like, for all I know, maybe it is possible. Are you saying it's stupid, like it shouldn't happen, or you don't think it will?
Both. I'm going on the record right
You're
right
a hater
now,
then.
bro.
You're starting to become a Jeter hater, bro.
No. This is the opposite of a Jeter hater, bro. Him going in the yes booth would be the most degrading, bro. He is so far above being in the yes booth. It's not even funny. For Derek Jeter,
what is the yes booth to you, bro?
Bro, for Derek Jeter to go into the yes booth and be Michael K's sidekick is probably one of the most demoralizing things that could happen to his career. That's not even
that
a joke,
is
bro.
Probably, no offense, the worst take you ever had on here.
It's not.
First of all,
a guy like Derek Jeter
hold on.
never demean himself to that
That's
level.
so
ever.
absurd that it's absolutely laughable. Go look across baseball and go look at the Hall of Famers that are color guys in the booth. Even in the Yankees' own booth. I mean, like, what is David Cone to you? He's awesome.
He's not on the same level as Jeter. Let's not get that.
Okay, sure, but he's still a 4-time World Series champion with the Yankees.
And that's just my perspective. I think that Derek Jeter going to the yes booth would be demoralizing for the legacy of his career.
I mean, I get if he doesn't want to do it, but it's not embarrassing to be in the yes booth. I mean, like, that is.
I think it's I think it would be embarrassing, and I also don't think that he really has the personality for that, bro. I don't.
Oh, I think he would be great because I think he would be dead honest, which would be awesome. You're crazy though for saying it would be like degrading to him. Not at all, man. Dude, it's bro. First of all, going into the booth after your career is not degrading by any means, let alone the yes booth, which is the #1 regional sports network in the world.
Okay, but could we just agree to disagree?
Because we're never silly shit sometimes, man.
No, it's not though, and I think that's where we differ a lot too. Because when we have differing opinions on something, like you get on the boat being like, Pat, like you're stupid, you're wrong.
Whoa.
Like this is just differing opinions here. I think that would be demoralizing for his career. Simple as that.
I've never called one of your opinions stupid. At least I don't.
Roll back the footage, bro. You just said it like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, maybe, but no, I don't mean anything offensive. By the way, I'm talking to you. No, I just think that's crazy to say. I don't think it'd be demoralizing, especially because if it's now a possibility, like if Jeter don't think it's embarrassing, then it's not. You know.
He probably does. Just to be that, bro. Why else do you think Jeter's not coming to old time?
Not embarrassing. I just don't think that he would care to do it. I don't think he'd be embarrassed by it. But I will say it seems a little more possible now that it's still a report. Like, why wasn't it shut down 3 months ago if it weren't possible?
Well, who's shutting it down?
Jeter, by saying no.
I don't think Jeter would ever publicly come out and be like, no,
he wouldn't say it on publicly. No, but the same guy that reported this article today, Andrew Marchand, like who's all about sports media and all this stuff. Like he would hear through leaks and reports. Like, so all we know is this has been out there for a couple months or like 2 months now.
I'll be shocked.
Still lingering.
This will be the most shocking thing
I would love it.
I've ever seen in my life.
But would you like it? Like outside of the whole like embarrassing shit you're saying, like in terms of product in the booth.
I don't know. I wouldn't know what to expect from him. I mean, I wouldn't be against it from the start. I'd want to see how he does, but it's not something I'd be like, I don't know, bro. I don't necessarily love the idea of it at all.
So would you think it'd be like demoralizing for say if Mo got in the booth? Is that demoralizing?
I think it's an interesting. I don't put Mo on the same level as Jeter.
I do, especially in the Yankee community. If not
in the Yankee community, sure. But when you look at like the grand scheme of Major League Baseball, I mean, there's only a few guys that I put in the same class as Derek Jeter, bro.
In what regard? I mean? It's greatness? I still don't think it makes a difference. I don't think it makes a difference. But yeah, go on.
No, I'm saying like even it kind of feels weird sometimes just because like we started the episode talking about lore, right? Derek Jeter has like a lore to him, like a very like mysterious, like he's the captain, right? So when I see him on like a insurance commercial, it's weird. Bro.
Subway.
Yeah. Like
I do feel that. I feel that.
You know what I mean? And I feel like Yes Network would kind of be like that same thing where it's just like, bro, like you don't need to be doing this.
I still disagree totally, but I do understand the vibe you're coming from because it is weird to see Derek Jeter on a Subway commercial. It's like I imagine it's like you don't need to be doing that, Cap.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
I imagine him being like, if he were to be back in the organization, it's either like manager, and that's like what he would really want to have to do that, or like, bro, special advisor to the GM or something like that. You know what I mean? Where he's like a front office role. I think that would make more sense for Jeter.
I still don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't agree that it would be like embarrassing at all. I would love it though. I really would. Also,
that was a heated topic, bro. First,
I don't think I got that heated. I think maybe you made me realize that it was getting heated. I just didn't notice. But like until you said that, I thought we were kind of just chilling. It's still a crazy take to me. But anyways, they also say Beltran, I guess, will be back, but in the studio, which he wasn't bad in the studio, I don't think. In the booth, he was awful, terrible. Would say the most generic shit, but I think he's all right in the studio because he does know baseball. I wish he was never affiliated with the organization to begin with.
Can I just be honest with you? I don't care if he's in the studio. Like, I don't really like the only time I watch the studio is like when they do like those little like ring delays or something like that. So I feel like it's kind of like, now that's kind of degrading.
I always have pre and post on.
That's kind of like demeaning to Beltran in terms of like, bro, you kind of sucked in the booth. So now we're going to shoo you off to the studio.
No, I don't think so, because it's different. And this is why I was going to bring up A-Rod as a counterexample, because he's in the booth. But you can't compare A-Rod to Jeter, because it's almost like a redemption story. I think it's the same for Beltran.
Thank you. Like, that's why I'm glad you didn't bring that up, because that's exactly what
at A-Rod first is. I was just naturally going to go to A-Rod, which I could navigate a good argument with that one still. But it's the reason I didn't is the same with Beltran. I just think like he's got to get his feet wet back in the game. You know, like that's why he took the job in the booth last year. And I think he's going to probably stick it out till he gets a manager job somewhere, which who knows if that'll happen. I think it will.
Yo, let me ask you one more question on this.
Sure.
So would you prefer Jeter? Let's say he were to get in like a commentator type role. Would you prefer him to be like an in-studio analyst, like kind of like what like A-Rod, Frank Thomas, David Ortiz, what they do? Or do you think that he would be better suited as like a broadcaster, like a Paul O'Neill type thing?
I would want him in the booth just so I could get more of him. You know, I do watch pre and post, but like I still would rather like it'd be I think a great feeling knowing you're turning on a Yankee game and you're gonna have Michael Kay, David Cone, and Derek Jeter in the booth. That would be the ultimate team. Going back to like, you know, when you're growing up and you just have a trio that like
says me? Just because of his name?
No, Jeter has a nice edge about him. So like even if he weren't say the best speaker behind the mic, which is no reason to think he wouldn't be, but he has a lot more of like, I think he'd be very direct with his thoughts and like wouldn't hold back on a player, which is something, shout out Cam Maybin that he was good with. Like I remember him multiple times with Aaron Hicks criticize him. Like that's, I think, more of what you need. On the flip side, Maybin also would, blow a lot of his former teammates. But like, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Jeter would kind of have a vibe to where like, he wouldn't just have like cakewalk thoughts. Like they would be actually like of substance. You know what I mean?
Sure. I guess.
You had something else you were going to say, and I feel like you're holding it back.
Nah, because I think that this is a conversation that we kind of like go around in circles in, you know what I mean? Just because, I mean, it's like a never ending thought, but that's fun.
Good episode today, Pat.
Amazing episode.
Yeah, that's into this one, guys. Subscribe if you are new. Drop a like, rate, review, subscribe on podcast too. Remember, we have an audio edition of this show on Apple and Spotify. If you want to, listen to it on your way to work or whatever, check it out over there. We'll see you guys next time. Let's go Yankees.